everybody. Now that the bumper's back on, the next task is putting the stripes back on the car. And I've purchased a stripe kit. It's for this one down here at the bottom. It should wrap around. And I bought the full set that goes around the bottom. And I'm going to see what it takes to get these installed today. So to get started, this is the stripe kit, and the box on the left is what they came in. They were in a plastic bag, full-length plastic bag, and rolled up. And so the first thing I did, see, there's the full kit. And it came with instructions, and it came with a squeegee. But otherwise, this is how you get a stripe kit. And it doesn't have the door emblems. I only ordered the stripe kit around the bottom. And I've started, they're held by perforations here and there. There's one down here at the end. And so I'm just starting to go around with a razor blade knife and trim those perforations to get things separated. And the biggest thing I need to do is understand where they go, because I sort of expected them to come in segments depending on where they went on the body. But I think that they're going to require some cutting. Reason I say that is, you know, these are fairly long pieces. This whole thing says it's a 71-inch piece of material. And so some of these are going to probably go like wrap around the back bumper from one side around the corner, and then you're going to go from the bumper into the rear quarter panel piece. And so I need to probably do is get these all cut out, and then I'm going to take some blue masking tape, and I'm going to start taping things to the car to see where they go. And I'm not replacing all the stripe, because if it overlaps with another panel, let's assume this one's for the rear bumper, right? I'm going to start at one point, and I'm going to come around, and it's going to go around the corner of the bumper, and then it's going to go around to the other panel, and at some point, perhaps in here, I'm going to have to cut it. We're going to see how that works, and do some trial fitting before anything gets cut or adjusted any further. Before I get too far, I'm just trying to get an assessment of where I think these are going to go. So that's my strategy. I'm going to start with the rear bumper ones and some blue tape and start attaching them to the body and see what I get. I decided to turn the kit upside down, or right side up. It was upside down. For my 1985, the silver part of the tape goes up. And so it was more confusing to me dealing with them upside down. Looking at that, the top one has the long side to my right and the short side to my left. So I'm going to presume that's the left-hand rear. The one below is the opposite, with the long to the left and the short wrap around toward the wheel to the right. And then looking at the ones for the front, that looks about where the first bend goes. And then there's a sharper bend at the end. So I'm going to assume that goes to the grill. This is the corner. So that looks like a left-hand one. And the other one looks like a right-hand one based on where it goes. And again, the doors I don't need to deal with right now. So I'm going to start fitting them that way. I went out to start fitting them, and the recognition that I could get them upside down caused me to flip the whole sheet the other way. Well, being that I tend to be a little cautious about things that I haven't used before, I'm going to run a trial just to see how these chemicals work and how things fasten down. I cut out of the sections of the stripe kit a chunk of silver and a chunk of black from the edges of the kit that we're not going to use. I mean, these stripes were cut out, and so this should be the same backing and adhesive as the stripe. It's just adjacent to the edge of it. And the last time I put stripes on a car, the stripes were straight, and they were a tape that you just made sure it was straight, and when it ended up on the car, it was there. It wasn't going anyplace. I've got something I purchased along with the stripes from the Camaro house. This Rapid Tack cleaner and application solution. And so that's what I'm supposed to use for installing the stripes. So what I wanted to do, it says to shake it up good. I just have a piece of, this is just aluminum flashing. It's just a spare piece of something I had laying around. So I want to see what this is like before I end up trying to put on a stripe. And you only get one chance to do the stripe right, and if you mess it up, then you got to go buy another kit. So you're supposed to be able to use this as a cleaner, which I just did, just like so. And let it dry off. And then I shook it well. Cheap paper towel to clean thoroughly. And it says spray the surface again, remove the backing paper, and apply. I put gloves on to handle the paper towels and stuff because it does have some cautions about contamination. I don't know what's in it, but I guess in order to peel the paper I got to pull the gloves back off. That's the way things go. But the surface should now be clean. So I got a section of silver. Get this out of the way here. So I've got a section of silver and a section of black along with the white edge of the paper. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go ahead and peel this first. Alright. So there's the backing of the adhesive. Now, I don't know. You know, can you stick it down once? Maybe. But let's try this. Alright, so I have a silver. And I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to position it right there at the edge. What I want to make sure is that it really bonds down. And will it fall off? Alright, and then here's the black. I'm also curious what the color match looks like. So once this dries and settles down, I'll peel the backing paper off, and I'm going to go check it against the old stripes. I mean, I kind of expect they may not match perfectly, but who knows. So the stripe kit people, the Phoenix Graphics, say let these sit for 3 hours. The Rapid Tack folks, their instructions say after 90 seconds you can spray the transfer tape, re-squeegee, and then remove the wet transfer tape. So what I think I'm going to do, I already squeegeed it once. I'll hit it again. Certainly got plenty of solution there on the surface. And I know some of you have probably done this before, and this is probably seems excessive, but I want to learn, and it's always easier to learn on a scrap piece of something than on your actual project. So I'm just going to wipe off the excess around the edges here, and then what I'll do is, it says I'm not counting exactly 90 seconds, obviously it's been that long. And then I'm going to pull the tape off of the silver one, and I'll let the black one sit. So let's see if this works. It's trying to lift it, so there, I got it. So there we go, and I'll push it back down again. So that's what I got. I'm going to just let those sit for a bit. Wash my hands to get off any residues. And see how they go before I start working on the ones that are on the car. Well, these two samples have been sitting for about a half an hour now. I did take the silver one out and compare it to the up against the silver of one of the older stripes, and I would say it looks pretty close. The only other thing of interest is I did maybe touch the back of this piece right there, and it's hesitating to stay stuck down, so I guess the answer is don't put your fingers on the front. But these have been sitting for about a half hour now, and perhaps that'll still stick back down if I just leave it alone. But I wanted to see how they would go, and you know, if I go peel up in the back, I say after a half an hour, yeah, it's sticking pretty good. Right, there's the and it kind of sticks back down again, so that's good. They're not moving anymore. There's the black one, and again, it's only been a half an hour. The manufacturer suggests that you wait 3 hours to take the transfer paper off. So, and I suppose I could use the spray on it. I'm going to try this, even though it's only a half an hour, and see what I got. They say it's just a test. Okay, so there's the paper coming off without any solution back on the back. Just got to be really careful or you peel the edge off. But right now I'm going to just go at it here just 180 degrees, like so. And that's pretty doggone solid. I like that. That works. The idea that you would spray a liquid on your adhesive and not damage the adhesive was just something I wasn't expecting. I've just not done this before, so yeah, I think those are pretty darn good. Alright, well, I'm going to go out and finish dry fitting on the car, try to figure out how I want to lay these down. Whether you peel all the paper off, whether you peel half the paper off, or I guess given that you have a solution like this and you can slide things around, and you know, we're dealing with things that are a couple feet long, perhaps it works just fine to peel the backing off the whole thing and set it up there. When I did straight tape stripes, this goes back to the Mustang years ago, you basically you'd tape you had, you know, it'd be like this, right? There's a piece of tape here, and you had a stripe that went all the way down the side of the car. You taped it to the side of the car, then you peeled it back and took the backing paper off of one end and laid the stripe back out like that. And then once that was done, then you went and peeled back the opposite side and took the backing off and laid it down. And because it was a straight stripe, positioning one half made the other half go where it belonged. And I put stripes around the car very easily that way. But this is a different animal because you're putting these stripes around corners, and that adds to the challenge. But it doesn't look too bad. As I said, it's, you know, I imagine over a period of hours that these will adhere better than they are now. So I'm pretty happy at the moment. I'll just I'm going to head out to the garage and continue. I have them almost dry fit, so we'll see where it goes. I have the back dry fit now all the way around. I will say that blue tape doesn't stick to this backing real well. It does, but I actually had the pieces fall off on the floor a couple times. So, and my only other concern a little bit is the going around the corner here is you can kind of see that it makes the corner and then it goes uphill just a little bit and does that on both sides. I don't know if when I get done and peel the backing if it'll stretch down just a little bit. I mean, I don't think you really want to stretch it much, but maybe it'll conform a little better, and if not, that's where it is. So second thing is this piece here has a little bit of an offset at the bottom. It looks like it's built a little low, and if you look here you'll see there's a little bit of a gap. Again, it doesn't line up exactly between this panel and this panel. And I thought perhaps I put the car together and didn't get things aligned, but I was very careful with that. And essentially the way the holes are set up on these cars, you know, they're meant to be in production where you pop it together and run the bolts down, and there isn't a lot of room for adjustment. So I went back and checked my photographs from this car from before I took it apart, and this is how it's been. The old one, the stripe ran a little bit high so that it could run into this one on the next panel, and that was how the car was built. The opposite side, the other side, it's kind of the opposite, which is it built just a little bit high, and it's kind of the other way. So it is what it is. Also, I looked in here and there's a protrusion on the body, a little bit of a bump, I don't know if it's body sealer or whatever, that actually keeps this panel from going any further, any higher than it already is. So it is where it is. Everything goes around. I hate to cut things until I'm really sure, but I think I'm getting pretty darn close here where I'm going to cut this seam, because this piece, I'd like to replace this, but I got to peel the old tape off at some point and do that. And for right now, that's not what I'm going to focus on. And this side seems to be, I'm going to say, a sharp corner. There's no roll on it when you go into that gap. It is where it is. On the contrary, the quarter panel has a little bit of a curve to it. And the old tape, I'm going to peel this off just to part way. I'm just going to peel this back for a minute. So this one, the tape makes the turn and follows the curve. So the brake should be pretty straight here. And in a moment, I'm just going to go cut that. I'm lining this up to the old stripe. So then the new stripe here will end up lining up with the old stripe there, and at some point I will, so only so many projects you can do at a time. At some point I expect I'll peel that tape off because it's kind of, it's not in great shape anymore, and replace it with this piece. But my inclination would be to only do part of this at a time, you know, keep half of it taped down and do half of it. But the way this seems to work will be that I'm going to take this whole section off and wet that, clean and wet that down, and then peel the backing and wet this down and put her on. Okay. I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to damage the paint underneath. So I just kind of scratched the surface of the backing here so that I can, so I know where my line is, and then there we go. Alright. And that edge goes right there. Okay, and that follows the edge of the car. So that's where it's going to sit. Okay, similar to the back, I'm just going to work to the alignment. I've got this running right along the edge of the upper section as it was before. Makes the curve, comes down to here, and then I'm making it line up with the old stripe, which I think is the right thing to do. And I'm going to do this. When I got the back one done, I trimmed that. I didn't get quite as straight a cut as I'd like, so I'm going to try and just use this putty knife as a straight edge. And get us just a straight score across here. Like so. That looks pretty darn good. Okay. And I'm going to take that back. I've got a board and a straight edge in the back, and I'm going to take this back there and just cut it there. And then I'll do the other side the same way. For now, or right now, I'm going to clean the surface with this application fluid. And I'm going to put this corner on first. It's one of the smaller ones. I think the front is probably easier from a size standpoint. Now that it's trimmed, I should be able to start here and bring it around. So, I'm just going to bring a towel over here to catch drips. Okay. And this surface should be pretty clean because it's freshly painted. But, you know, you touch things when you're working on them and putting them back together. And so we're going to make sure that it's clean. I don't want it peeling off. Okay. I'll set that one aside. Okay, looks nice and shiny. So then the next is, it wraps around here, so so we want that. And this one, we're supposed to peel the backing. And the manufacturer says to spray that too. So overdo it, but we're going to do it anyway, enough. Now, actually I don't think I got all the way to the bottom, and I want to make sure. Alright. We'll wrap that guy around and put it in place. And my squeegee's here. So I'm supposed to squeegee that guy out too. And actually, yeah, I think I should move it just a hair. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's alright. It's there. Now it's lined up there. Squeegee's helpful, but frankly, rubber gloved fingers seem to work too. Let's go ahead down. trim again, I'll trim again. So let it get solid. Okay. Well, I don't want to overdo the squeegee stuff and hurt anything. It looks to me like everything is down. I'll go the other way too. I don't want to damage it. Make sure that the edges down at the bottom get adhered. There's a little bit that just rolls toward the bottom here at the very edge. I'll just make sure that it's in. Okay. Looking good. Alright. I'm gonna leave it alone, quit playing with it. I think it's there. That's this one. Goes right up to there. Comes around. Fits to there, just like the opposite side. Okay. So, number one, let's put some of this fluid on. Make sure we got enough. Okay. Just a little lower. Okay. The one thing is, it lines up in the back. Lines up there. It's squeegee. In some ways, working with these smaller tape, it's not a graphic. It's 2 feet square. It shouldn't be so hard to get the bubbles and stuff out, but I haven't really seen much. It seems to me like it's been doing okay, but you won't know how good it looks until after you get the paper off, and at that point it's too late to do anything about it. Other than, if you have a bubble, you can use a pin and get it out even later. There are a few little, let's say, wrinkles, small tiny ripples in the backing paper. I really don't think that matters. I don't know where that came from, but okay, well, that one's down. Wipe off the excess of the sauce here. Alright, let's see if we can clean this one up. This will be a little more fun since it's quite a bit longer. I guess as long as I'm at it, I'm going to go all the way around on this one. Just my blue tape out of the way. That's what they call the acid test now. We're going to far enough, past halfway. Alrighty. I'm using a good dose of it, but this one's probably a little trickier than the last one, so. Alright, so step one. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, got it. Almost went backwards with it. Alright, so this one lines up right about there, and then goes around this way. That's still too far, darn it, come on. Alright, let's get it mostly in place here. Okay, down, 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 down. corner's not behaving quite right. There we go. That's better. Alright, I've lined up at this end. And the corner is correct. It's just down to the edge. The first time it was starting to roll over a little bit. And that's not what it's supposed to do, so. And then down here, down just a little bit too. Alright. Come on. Up a little higher. There. Oh man, what happened here? It shifted. I don't know what happened, but okay, now it's lined back up again. How did I do that? I just don't know. Started out lined up, but still just a touch concerned about this corner. Making sure that it lays flat. Can't tell. Seems as if it's not quite sticking. So I'm going to push this again. Just keep squeegeeing it until we get it down. I think we got it. Okay. All right. Whew. Getting hot. I'm going to turn the camera off and do the one on the back side. It's hard to get a good angle on that. Be back later. I let my stripes sit for the 3 hours that the graphics company recommended in their instructions. So when you go to peel off the liner or the backing paper here on the front, I don't have the exact stuff. This is the other side, but when you go to peel that, you want to peel it like at 180 degrees. You want it to come back on itself. Don't pull out like this. Pull back like this, and so you don't lift the graphic back off the surface. But they're on and they look pretty good. No, they look very good. It turned out I got them lined up. My only other comment being in the back, I waited 3 hours to peel the backing paper, with one exception. In the center of the rear bumper, the two stripes overlap about a quarter inch, maybe 3/8, thereabouts. And so I wetted the backing and carefully peeled it back, about an inch, so that I could overlap the tapes. And you go, well, should you overlap the tape or should you cut the tape? When I recording everything that I had done earlier, the factory, the tape that was on there was overlapped, and as far as I can tell, that was factory tape. So assuming that worked, I didn't have any reason not to do it again. So I just peeled that backing back enough that I could lay the second stripe over the top of the first one, and it looks like it did fine. And I've kind of gone around here, and I haven't had any places where I see bubbles or anything. This is a fairly narrow tape. It all seems to have laid down and adhered just fine. Which brings me to the last step, which is to put this back on. I cleaned it up as best I could. And I suppose there may come a day where I want to refurbish that part. But whenever you do one of these projects, one of the things you have to do is scope the project and not go too big. And so right now the car's together. It's summertime, I'm going to take it out and drive it. And so this one gets installed, and I'll come back another day and make some improvement to it when the time comes. So now I just need to find the holes, and there are 4 of them here, and it seems to me that there are a couple to the top next to the fog lamps. So let's see how that works. In my little bag of parts, I have 6 fasteners. 2 of them with washer style heads, or washers on them, I should say, captured washers, and 4 of them that are the Phillips with a, not Phillips, Torx. These are Torx heads with a chamfered under the head. And actually all of them are Torx, so I get out my T15 and we'll see if we can get those to line up. I'm going to leave those just a little bit loose for a few minutes until I get these screws all started. these two screws that go vertical are going into the what do you want to call them, the U-nuts, the sheet metal nuts. So they're very well located. We'll get that started. And then I've got, see if I can get an eyeball on where the holes are. And about right there. So I got just about all the screws run down. I'll get this last one here. There we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we're all set. So that's what we got. Looking good. The silver on the new tape is just a little bit brighter than the silver on the old tape, which, gee, I can't imagine why, but no problem. So that looks real nice, ties it all in together, and you know, given some time, I may go peel off the old tape and replace it. I'll just say though, that's maybe easier said than done, because when I had to peel the old tape off of those bumpers, that took me hours, and the adhesive did not want to let go, and typically, you know, you ended up breaking the tape trying to peel it. I mean, I used to heat gun and all those good things, but anyway, that's for another day. For now, the car's in good shape. The project is now completed, with the exception I've got a couple badges to put on the rear bumper yet, but I'll get to that shortly. And for now, it's a nice day. I'm going to get myself going and head out for a drive. Back with you all later.